Well, welcome everyone. First video of the 2023 season. It's a different video. I've had a few people make some comments wondering when I'm going to get back into racing, when I'm going to start racing a go-kart again. And the answer is probably never. One, I'm too big for it, to be honest with you. Two, I have my daughter in it, and I have two little ones that'll probably be getting into it in about 3 years. And of course our Wolfe Motorsports racing team. So, taking a different approach on this video. It's my first feature win in WISSOTA Super Stock at Deer Creek Speedway. Took me 5 years. 5 years. Had a chassis for 4.5 years. This would have been the summer of 2007. I had the opportunity to buy an Extreme chassis. Bought that mid-season, took 6 weeks and built it. Debuted the Extreme chassis car at the Punky Manor Challenge of Champions in Menominee. Made the feature through the heat, which is pretty hard to do there because if you've been to that event, it's good competition. And unfortunately, one of the updates that was supposed to go in the car didn't get installed in the car, and my drive shaft ended up getting pulled out in the feature the next night. So of course got the update installed for free, got the car ready for the pumpkin at Tri-Oval. This was before Mississippi Thunder is what it is now. It was Tri-Oval. I believe it was the first year Bob Timm owned it, if I'm not mistaken. Ran the Friday night show. Was doing pretty good in the feature, and then huge pile up in the front stretch. I had to rebuild the front bumper and everything at the track Saturday morning. I ended up coming, and I have this on video. Maybe this will be another video share. But I came from like, I think it was 16th or 18th. I worked myself up to, I think it was 7th, 6th or 7th, and I was catching the rest of the field. So of course, first 2 nights in it, two weekend of racing, it was a pretty good car. Went into the 08 season, and I told everyone I'm going to win the opener. I just was being cocky, basically. And I was actually going for the lead, and unfortunately, person spun in front of me, and I had nowhere to go, and piled it into the wall trying to avoid him. And then the second night, which this is the video you're going to watch, is when I won my first feature. Deer Creek Speedway, 2008. I ran 62 nights there, or that whole season. Got myself in the top 5 in national points. I believe there was like 400 and some cars. I ended up finishing 10th. Had a big wreck at Jim Falls in a doubleheader, and unfortunately at that time I still hadn't built my inventory of spare parts, and literally destroyed the rear end right out of the car. I got hit so hard. But the next week, I had spare parts for everything. So this is the video you're gonna watch. First video, my feature win, first one ever, WISSOTA Super Stock. This is like I said, the first video of the 2023 season. Next video on deck will be Corey in the race shop. So without further ado, let's watch him racing, and I'll jump back on and talk as the race goes on. Suppose I should probably tell you, I started at the pole in this race too. Track was in the favor of what I love. I love a black, slicked off track. I think a lot of it comes from my karting experience, where you have to be smooth with the go-kart. I always excelled on a black track where traction and throttle control is needed. I actually struggled on the tacky tracks, to be honest with you. I actually had to, like, literally in the helmet tell myself to drive harder. And I also was a catfisher. Loved to race the bottom. If I could get to the bottom, that's where I was going. Now, unfortunately, if you had to go to the top, you went to the top. And I'll tell you what, there is no more of adrenaline rush when you're running literally inches off the wall. So I get it. But for me personally, I was a catfisher and loved to run the bottom. So start on the pole in this 20-lap race. You're going to see Cole Queensland. His family owns Deer Creek Speedway, and a few other guys, I believe, that are still running, to be honest with you. I know some of them advanced to like modifieds and late models and stuff like that. So white or yellow and black car, number 60 Junior, starting on the pole, Deer Creek Speedway feature.
Super Stock feature 20 laps on the second pump. Here on this Aquafina white car underneath Deer Creek Speedway scoreboard. We're ready to rock and roll. Ready to go out there, and we're gone.
Come on, Wyatt! Come on, Wyatt! Go, Wyatt! Go, Wyatt!
So, as you heard, Eric, actually it was Eric Till, number 95. He runs late models. I believe he might be selling his car. And then him and I ran Super Stocks together. We also ran go-karts together back in the day too. I believe he's a couple years younger than me. So yeah, that's the Eric that you're hearing. They're like, oh, move Eric, move Eric. And of course, I get it. Camera person, my sister, old school camera from back in the day. Unfortunately, the quality is what it was from 12 years ago. So of course, you hear my dad in the background. I believe you'll hear my mom too. So that was my pit crew: my dad, my mom, and my sister. Corey was once in a while. Corey was at this time of his life, he was like out exploring, doing his own thing, which that's what you got to do. So he was I think the next year after this, or year or two, we got him in a Hornet, and he ran Hornets between him and Ashley. So it's always been a family thing, racing. So all right, back to the race.
Good start, Wyatt. Good start. Good start. Go, Wyatt. Good start. Pull him. Pull him. Go. Look at him. Pull, Dad.
of course, another caution. But as you saw, I would actually pull off the corner pretty hard. This track condition, this was smooth in. Don't drive in deep. Get the pull, ease on the throttle, get the pull, center off, basically. But the harder you drove in, the slower you were. And that's the misconception to dirt racing, is people think you have to sling it in there. You already have a lack of traction on dirt. Your goal is to not break the car sideways. And I know it sounds funny, but the straighter you keep the car, the faster you are. Corey hates it when I say it, but you're always the fastest when you're on the verge of tight. When that you just make that one mistake and the car pushes a little bit, but you're usually, that's the verge of being fast. If you're watching someone sling a car in there sideways, 9 out of 10 times the car's tight going into the corner. So the key is to be smooth in. Again, I put that towards my go-karting background from racing all the years I raced. And karts, you have to be smooth. That's how they're fast. And I think that translated into my car racing years. So, but yeah, thought I'd just jump on and make that comment. So here we go, going green.
Halfway through, 10 down, 10 to go. Wyatt Wolfe Jr. up from the 60. The Chris Slinger, Cole Queensland, up to the with this first feature.
Run that line, Brock. Run that line. Be consistent. Don't overdrive it.
Keep going, Wyatt.
So, caution again, but funny story, the caution came at the perfect time, and what I mean by that is the camera went dead, literally at that point. I don't think actually Ashley shut it off, if I'm not mistaken. This is back with the old school cameras. It literally, I think it had 2 AA batteries in it, and the batteries went dead while she was recording. At that time, we did not carry AA batteries with us. So Ashley literally ran from the stands that's in turn 1 all the way to our pit area, grabbed batteries. It was either Ashley or my mom, one of the two, and got back, got the batteries installed in the camera, and got it turned back on before I go green for the final stint of the race. Without that, they would have never captured my first feature win. So crazy story. Kudos, mad props to them. Lesson learned: we always carried batteries. I believe my mom always had them in her pocket, and it actually happened, if I'm not mistaken, other times throughout the race season that we had to change batteries literally under a caution. So yeah, I thought you liked that story. So here we go, final stint of the race.
Good racing up front so far. Let's see what happens when we get ready to bring it in. Slow and steady. Get ready to fire them up once again.
Hey, we want them down here.
You want me some Bill, Dad?
Your race winner. We'll be working its way around the full speed Southern Line trailer. Here's your Speedway Safety Lane. Sponsors on a 60 JR for Wyatt Wolfe Jr. on the lacrosse.
So yeah, as you watched and heard, it was very emotional. That was one of the most important wins I've ever had racing. 5 years in the making, 2 chassis, I believe 3 engines. I dang near quit 2 years prior to that. Blew up the motor that came with the car when I bought it. Bought a used motor, used heads, and I blew that one up at Jim Falls. It blew up so hard it actually lifted my feet off the floor driving down the front stretch. And I was broke. I had no money. As any good parent, my parents came to the rescue. My mom handed me a credit card and says, "Go get what you need. You clearly have a passion and a dream, and we want to see you do it." And called a few engine builders around the area, and I actually ended up hooking up with Mike Sorensen, Action Engineering out of Rochester. And boy, did they build me a piece. 13.1 to 1 compression ratio. I believe it was like 500 and I think it was 531 foot-pounds of torque, or 531 horsepower, 525 torque, something like that. It was a great motor. And actually, I ended up having to replace the heads in that. I was just doing basic maintenance, pulling the spark plugs out, and was going to do spark plugs and check the valve lash, and I had coolant stream right out of cylinder 8 in the shop. I had a set of World product heads that were legal. I think they still are. I actually don't know what the rules are nowadays. But I had a set of World of product heads I kept from one of those motors that blew up, and pulled the motor, took it up to the shop. They got the heads ready, dynoed it. It built more power and actually ran better with those World product heads versus the GM factory heads. So if it wasn't for them, I would have cut my racing career a couple years shorter. And then my grandpa's actually the one that loaned me the money to get that chassis. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think my grandpa found it too. And paid him back and did all that jazz, and was able to feel my first win. 1 out of 3 that year. I should have had more. I was a bridesmaid in a lot of races, finished second. I always had bad luck with draw, and I always had to start through the field and drive through the field. I always had to start deep. So, but which is good, because it teaches you how to watch other racers and watch their driving line and capitalize on their mistakes. Because as you saw in the video, even though I was bottom feeding, not as far down as I have at that track, but running the lower groove, I still let the car drift up close to the wall. Now, if I knew there was a car next to me, that wouldn't have happened, but you still got to get the proper angle of the corner. It's just natural geometry, and I've talked about that before with karting. So you can't carry the same speed at the low sport in the corner and think you're going to be as fast through the center than if you came in and arced the corner. So yeah, thank you for experiencing my first race. I hope you liked the video. This is pretty different. And let me know what you think of the new intro outro. Is there something I should change on it? Comment it in the comment section. I'm still kind of playing around. I might change it up a little bit more. I know I got to push the socials on the videos a little more too, so you'll probably start seeing some added things besides this, the bell and the subscribe and stuff like that. So I'm still playing with some of the new features I purchased on this program. So, but again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, comment, share. Please tell me what you think about the intro, outro. Yeah, thanks again, and welcome to the 2023 race season.